So yeah, today it's more of talking about what an SDET and the roles and responsibilities of an SDET. So as I said, it's not like very advanced, very technical. It's more of touch basing from the role of SDET and just redefining the roles and just remembering the basics of where the SDET role come up and just discussing about that. Okay, so I just Googled what is an SDET. So I got a couple of answers. So one is SDET who can participate in the development of an application. You just see that is the first thing that you get if you Google it. And the second thing that I got is SDET is a person who actually can develop automated scripts. Okay. So now, these are a couple of results which I got. So I would ask you all, hopefully you all got smartphones with you. Yes, can you just Google the word what's an SDET in your phone, and then we can kind of see what kind of ambiguity is there. Okay, then we can go in deep. Okay, so just take your phones and just type like SDET, and then we can start from there. Okay. You can share your answers so that we will see. At least we'll take 5 answers, then we'll see what kind of ambiguity or what kind of the results that we get. Okay, then we can go from there. Okay, who first? Yes.
You're not going to like this.
It's still loading?
No. Okay. SDET is a benchmark used in the system software research community.
So this one definition is a benchmark, which is used in software research community. Nothing to actually what people are thinking. So that is one of the definitions. So anybody else? Yes?
An IT professional who can work equally effectively in development and testing.
Also, equally who can develop and test. So developing software or developing tests? Equally. Okay, so a person who can develop a software and equally who can test. The second definition, so 3 more. Yes, Ben? I think Ben will definitely say software design engineering test. I think it should develop an engineering test, isn't it? Okay, so this is one of the definitions where it's talking about design engineering test. One is research, one is design engineering, one is like who can do both development and testing as well. So 2 more answers, please.
One is the same. Is an IT professional who can work equally effectively in development and testing.
Okay, it's more of the same, so like equally develop and test. Okay, last one.
Professional knowledge is entirely focused on testability, robustness, and.
Okay, so totally focusing on testability of an application. Okay, very good. So very good answers. So we got, I think more of we got a kind of who can develop and test, and the other definition is more of who can develop the test wherever it's required. Okay, so let's go. So I don't need to again talk about that, but this automation test, before going into SDET, we need to just refresh that what's an automation tester. So automation tester who is the person who can actually do, like skills point of view, who can do manual testing and automation testing. And his main activities will be like manual testing, focusing more on manual testing, and whenever it is required for them to do a repetitive tests. The ideal example is whenever they need to do a smoke test or a regression test, ideally just go for it and do an automated test so that it helps for them to reduce their manual efforts. Okay, it's more of reducing their manual efforts. This can be like, there may be a lot of things, or maybe even loading the data. Typically, an automation tester can automate that. So, but still, however, he's still a tester who is actually doing a test and he's automating to make the things easier. But however, coming from a typical release cycle point of view, again, I know it is most of the companies are not doing this because everybody is moving towards like more of agile, BDD, and other things. But still, if you go back and see the few companies who still are having 1 to 3 months release cycles, and then whenever there's a release, it's like a big big occasion where the developers, the testers used to test long time and then they release it and they'll be feeling happy for that, doing a lot of celebrations. Even the few companies where they do the party, but the few companies who actually blow a horn and then say that, yeah, we did a release, like an achievement. So that is a way, but that's still a history actually. Okay. Oops. Okay, so coming to the how an automation tester sees an application is if it is a like kind of a front end and back end application. So what he does is he don't really care about the code, but he actually tests an application from an end user point of view. So that's where the test automation code, and that test automation code will test an application. Whatever happens within the application, he don't much care about it, but he's more of testing from top to down. And even though they got third parties, microservices, but from an automation tester point of view, he tests from top to down, like in this case, in this way. Okay, so now coming to SDET. So, as I said, there's a lot of definitions outside. I'm not defining anything, but we just need to touch base the basics. So SDET is a person who actually a tester, an automation tester, and a person who got knowledge on development. As I said, so previously there are a lot of roles, but now SDET is a person who can do all these three, from testing, automation testing, and he's got knowledge on development. But however, the main thing that people are looking for, even though he's in SDET, the first thing that an SDET should have is the mindset of a QA mindset. So there's a lot of difference. Developer is a developer, tester is a tester. But there's a big mindset which actually should be, is what very important as an SDET. You should be having a QA mindset. Okay, so again, coming to development point of view, I think that is where, it's getting more technical. It's going very, very technical, and they're actually expecting more of a developer come to do and come do the like an SDET role. So, I know a lot of friends of mine who actually are developers who came back and they said, okay, so we are getting a lot of good money in SDET roles, so why don't we come and why don't we just become an SDET? So, he's an SDET, he's a developer, but however, still think that those people still have that mindset. So they may not have that mindset. The basic is you need to have that mindset, and then development point of view, as I said, he don't need to be a senior developer, but what he need to understand is, as an SDET, he need to understand a system. So he need to understand the system as a whole. Okay, so as an SDET, what he needs to supposed to do is he needs to understand a bit of API testing. I think people know about it, and he need to know what is front end, what is back end, and mainly this point is what very, very important. As an SDET, you don't see an application as a black box, but you see application is nothing but millions of lines of code over there. So what an SDET will do is, a difference between SDET and automation tester is, SDET is the person who tests the code. He see the code and he start developing the test from the code, and then he go to the up. Okay, so as an SDET, you are not only dealing with the black box, but you also need to deal with the white box test. Okay, which include unit test, integration test, whatever it is. Okay, so and as the additional thing what an SDET should have is, he need to do both black box and white box testing. So still the testing is in place, but it's more of a person who should be able to do an unit test. Example, yes, developer will do a unit test, but still an SDET is a person who actually can complement, and sometimes he can complement the developer is very busy, then he should be able to go see an application as a code. So he don't need to test an application. He start testing his application from the code level. So there is a bunch of code, let us test this, and then to test this, then he convert it to executables and do the test. Okay, so that is one of the skill, and the next one is automation testing skill. Obviously, like, I mean, we know about that, Selenium, whatever it is. But however, from a tools point of view, there are a lot of tools going around. I think people know like Cypress, WebDriver.io, Nightwatch, whatever, like WebDriver.js. There are a lot of things going on. So what I would say is, as an SDET, you should not be like hanging one tool and then say that I'm master of that, so I can do anything. It's not about that. There's a shift there. So as an SDET, we actually expect people to know various tools, but not that he have to use the same tool everywhere. Example, he's working in 3 projects. So one project may be like Python, one project may be front end, one project may be like an end-to-end project. So he's a person who should be able to know all these tools and use the tools whenever it is required. Okay, so I mean, example, Cypress came into picture, and then even I had a meetup previous about that. Is Cypress replacing Selenium? Is it really replacing Selenium? I mean, again, it depends. Cypress is more of a front-end centric, and it's more of a developer's kind of a tool which helps to do them quick testing. But however, Selenium has its own case. It's more of like end-to-end test. It still have its own thing. So it's not that one is replacing other. As an SDET, you should know what to use when. That's it. Just okay, Cypress. Okay, let's use for like kind of a front-end unit test level, and then let us use the end-to-end test. It should be end-to-end. Example, if they want to do cross-browser test, obviously Cypress can't do it. So then we need to go to a route of Selenium and have Sauce Labs, whatever it is, just to make sure that we are doing good coverage. So again, as an SDET, we should not like having one tool. We should be able to do, as I said, like Gatling, Visuals tool. Again, depending upon company, there are a lot of things, like a lot of parameters. So an SDET is a person who should be able to do that. And finally, an SDET is a person, they should have a lot of energy, because, as a QA, I've been 15 years experience. I've been seeing lots of tools. So again, we should have that energy that we should start learning new tool. Tomorrow, there may be something else coming up, or tomorrow there may be the new tool coming up. So as an SDET, he should be able to adapt to the tool. He should have that open window in his mind that let's learn new tools. So I think as he said previously, you should be open, coming to the meetups and see what is going on, then go back and implement those kind of tools. So it's more of networking with the people and understanding new tools. Okay, so then from an SDET point of view, how an application will look like is previously you had seen the view of an automation tester, but the view of an SDET is this where he decouples front end and back end, and then he again, I think the important part is using stubs. So that is where again he should be in a position to use the stubs. It's not like completely replace the whole API system and then only use stubs, but he should be intelligent enough to take a decision where I need to use the stubs and where I need to use the real third-party services. Because we can't just use stubs and go to production. However, we can't always use the third-party services. I think that is where there are a lot of companies who uses third parties having the same problem. So because if there is any third-party system down, then we can't actually put those tests in the pipeline, because we are depending upon some other third parties in our pipeline. So obviously we have to go for stubs. But again, there will be one more question, like if it is using stubs, then what is the guarantee that it works in production? So there's a lot of debates happening. But as I said, an SDET is a person who should have that open mind and use the stubs wherever required, and use the real services wherever required, and then see an application this way, so that again, I don't want to talk about the pyramid, but it's more of trying to more unit test, integration test, and then less of end-to-end test. Okay, so coming to the next one, the activities of an SDET. I know it's a big list, but I'll be quickly going through them. So an activities, you should be able to, you'll be able to do the unit test, or at least verify the unit test coverage. And one important thing is, code, pull request approvals. That's one of the key area where SDET can be very handy. So if you know the coding standards, and if the developer is able to help them to understand that, that's where there's a lot of pull requests waiting in the queue. And then SDET will be very much handy there, where he can be able to go through that list of checklists. So we should have enough test coverage. We should have all the linting stuff, all these things he can just quickly cover, helpful there. And as I said, okay, so again, as I said, the main thing is SDET is a person who is actually testing the code. So he should be able to really, like write some unit tests using mock services. Okay, so focusing on, one more important from the DevOps point of view. Again, SDET, a tester on SDET, you should not rely on the DevOps to come and like spin up an environment for them. Example, there is some playground environment for the people they use. Some people use UAT. So again, as an SDET, you should not wait for somebody to come and do some stuff for you, which again takes a lot of time back. So you should have that kind of skill where he can open up, he can spin up his own environments like, Jenkins and even Heroku, there's a lot of tools there. So you should be able to know the complete architecture and change the ports or change the endpoints and then spin up an environment, which actually really helps like a lot of time. It saves a lot of time because you don't need to wait for someone. Even we ask for DevOps, even DevOps they don't want us to come to them again for that. So they ask us to do that kind of education, which actually helps us to reduce those times. But the last point is very important. However, whatever happening, the important thing as an SDET is you should know your system, and we have to do exploratory testing. Okay, because exploratory testing, even though I know like as an SDET you want to automate everything, most coverage, and we are like very happy. But however, again, there may be something which goes wrong, so we don't want to rely 100% on machines. On the testing point of view, we should have that kind of. It's not a process, as I said, it's not in the pipeline. But as a tester, you should again think that you are a tester. You go back, do some exploratory testing. That's where most bugs are found. So you can challenge in UX UI and then kind of see how the system breaks. So that's where obviously if you got that good skills of writing unit tests, functional tests, automated tests, and make everything 100% automation, then obviously you have that luxury of doing exploratory testing. That is where that's where it's a lot of this is a word which is coming more, because whenever we think of functional test, we can automate it, but whatever we cannot think about is what exploratory testing. So now that's that, but still you have to have your main job is to find the bugs. So that is one of the skill that you need to carry over. So just to summarize, as I said, the tester is not a tester now. A tester. So SDET is a person who got a bit of development. As I said, you need to be able to do unit test, analysis some bugs. Again, analyzing the bugs and debugging the issues. So as an SDET, that is where it really saves a lot of time for developers. So as an SDET, what you can do is you can just penetrate through the servers, a bit of DevOps knowledge. So penetrate through the servers, get the logs, and know what is the problem. And again, like if you know a bit of React and those kind of stuff, you can see where the object is missing or is there some parameters missing. You can, I don't want you to do development. At least you should be able to do a root cause analysis, and then again, if you got a bug, again, like make sure that why it was missing, because in the pipeline everything looks smooth, but obviously there will be always some room for more quality. Okay, so that quality only comes when a tester keeps on seeing into the pipeline and then kind of analyze, and then if any bug is coming as he asked, if there's any bug in production, yes, first of all we need to fix it. But the second one is we need to do a root cause analysis in our complete pipeline, like a pyramid where we are missing this and what kind of unit tests are missing. So again, retrospectively do that. Coming to DevOps point of view, I think it's more of the lot of tools which was covered. So as an SDET, you should be able to you need to understand your pipeline. You should be able to access your virtual machines. You should be able to analyze the logs. You should have your own environment. So that's a bit of DevOps responsibilities. And still you are a tester. You should be able to have your own automation test and whatever it is. And then as a product owner, again, you are adding value to the business. So as an SDET, you should start your journey from talking to the product owner, making sure that you got enough acceptance tests. There's no gaps there. Again, that's like a validation before anything come into picture. So it's again, you as a tester, you should have all these skills. Then this all will be accumulated. Again, I'm telling you, you should not be a developer. You should, I mean, from my point of view, you don't need to develop a code, but if you can able to analyze your code and able to do unit tests and come down, I think you will be a good guy. Okay. So, I mean, I think all people are already using, I mean, there are SDETs everywhere, but because of SDET, there are a lot of advantages. You can have faster release, better quality, faster bug fixes, more of exploratory testing, no dependency, and time, money, and quality. So, I mean, again, as I said, this is more of a, I think that the definition of SDET, it's a 2 years back, it was more of people are converting from automation test and SDET, but now I think every company have an SDET. So, I mean, it's already there. I mean, it's there. The only thing is, as I said, this is just a time to sit back, think about who is an SDET, don't make him more complicated. The only point which we need to understand is he's still a tester with a quality mindset, and technically he should be strong to actually help DevOps and unit testing skills, development skills, which actually as a mix of all these things will become a good SDET. And then that way, I think the definition of the SDET, what we can actually, more of what we can conclude is that SDET is a person he's a tester, but who got very good development knowledge. So he knows the system end to end, and he knows the architecture. He knows the code base, where the code base. He knows a kind of example. If it is MVM architecture, he knows where the views are and all these things. He should know. It's not like you need to develop it. We should know. So that way, actually, what it helps is any unit testing coverage leakage or any API testing he should know like what to use when. So he should be hands-on with all the tools. So definitely he will be helpful, not in this project, because if you go to different project, different culture, different tools, then again he should be able to open to do that. So that way, if an SDET can be master of all and able to help the complete system from starting from idea to the release, then yes, the SDET, that is what the SDET is about. Okay. Okay, so just a last minute suggestion that, I mean, I know most of you are SDET here, but if somebody is still in a manual testing, automation testing world, then what I would say is just a suggestion. I think this may be like for a few of you applicable for that. So you should know at least one language if you want to become an SDET. I mean, it can be anything. It can be JavaScript, it can be Java. Master of one language, then you cannot survive without knowing the APIs, because that's where the world is going about. Yes, and I think coming to the tools, you should not stuck. As I said, the biggest thing is if you want to become an SDET, you should not have one tool in your CV like Selenium, BDD, and just say that I'm an SDET. It's not about that. You should be having a bit of DevOps tools and a bit of unit testing tools, performance testing tools. I mean, security, again, this man is for a few companies. But if you know all these tools, and if you're able to really, if you know that, I mean, we got resources like Udemy and a lot of things are there. It's just a matter of getting a subscription. Example, if your company is using React, as an SDET, you don't need to be React developer, but just you got the basics of React. Udemy, when a video for 1 or 2 days, you will know what your developer is talking, so that you will be very, very handy, and your developers will appreciate that, yes, you are really talking in the language of what they are talking, and then it will be more of both sitting together and then thinking about how we develop, pair programming. All this will come into picture, provided you go into that level. Again, you don't need to be a developer, but you should know all this, and then you will be open to learn. And finally, okay, so as the biggest thing is, if you want to become an SDET, you have to open the box. Okay, just open the box and see what is there in your application and the code. Then yes, you will be an SDET.